Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Lena and welcome to my small garden in Zone 8 of Pacific Northwest on the west coast of Washington State. I think today's a good day for me to be doing a little update video or, like a little garden tour on what's going on in my little garden in September of 2022. I think today is September 7th or it could be September 8th, I'm not too sure. I also just came back from a little vacation, like a small getaway to Banff National Park in Alberta, Canada. And I'd never been there before. This was our first time, me and my husband's first time. So it was me, my husband, our 3 dogs, and my in-laws. My in-laws came to visit for 2 weeks in August, and they've been to Banff like a few times. They are amateur photographers, so they've been to all these beautiful places around the country, in America and in Canada. And they said, you know what, since you guys have never been there, let us take you. And so we went and we spent about a week there, and every single day that place really blew my mind at how beautiful the Canadian Rockies are. That place really did not disappoint. But out of all the beautiful places that I visited, I wanted to talk about this place with you guys the most. So downtown, like near downtown Banff area, there's this beautiful garden called the Cascade Garden. And this place was so gorgeous. We spent a whole morning there on one of the days. And I think I'd be remiss if I didn't at least show you like a small clip of what this place looks like. So before I go on with anything, I'd like to take you up to Banff, Canada to take a look at this beautiful garden together. If you come here by car, you'll be taken to the back of the administrative building, which is the main building that we see here, to the parking lot. This place is surrounded by the Canadian Rocky Mountains, which makes it ever more beautiful. A quick walk will take you to the front of the administrative building, where you can take in the view and admire its architecture. The actual full name of this place is Cascade of Times Gardens. And it is set in a 4-acre land. Was built in the 1930s. The best thing about this place is that it is open to the public free of charge. I think every day of the week too, but I'm not too sure, so don't quote me on that. If you stand directly in front of the building looking onto Banff Avenue, this is the view that you'll get. So you have this lovely front garden with the misty mountains as a backdrop. On the day that we went, it was partly cloudy and it was a little early in the morning, so the sun hadn't fully come out yet. It was quite a romantic hour that we spent there, actually. While the area around the building is open to the public, the building itself is not. So it was locked and we didn't go inside, but we were still able to stand in the front and admire its beauty from over here. If you're looking to get away from the hustle and bustle of Banff downtown, which can get really busy sometimes and could be overwhelming, I think this place is a perfect getaway. There are more gardens for us to see around the back of the admin building to the right, and as soon as you walk in, you'll hear the sounds of the cascading waterfalls. So the gardens are terraced into the hillside, and they're set in tiers, so you can view the gardens in tiers. And this is the first tier. You have this lovely body of water surrounded by some daylilies and some other beautiful flowers. One of the things that I love so much about this place is the fact that there are lots and lots of seating areas, whether it's on the benches or on the ground, on a flat area. So if you want to come here with a picnic and to have like a nice quiet meal with your loved ones, you can definitely do that here quite peacefully. And if the day gets too hot and too sunny, there are quite a few gazebos and buildings that will give you shade as well. When we went, it was the 3rd week of August, so it was still like peak bloom season. There were lots and lots of gorgeous flowers for us to see. Needless to say, I was lost in time and place. I had no idea where time went. Give me some gorgeous flowers and the sounds of these waterfalls in the background, and that's it. You have me. This place also has quite a lot of interesting structures in the garden. for us to walk around and admire, which makes it really interesting. And I think I fell in love with this group of flowers that I had never seen before. There are these ones right here, very brightly colored little flowers that look kind of like daisies, but they're not. I don't think so anyway. And they are about 3 to 4 feet in height, and here they're grown in mass, forming this beautiful hedge. I really want these flowers in my garden. If any of you know what they're called, please let me know in the comment section, because I really want to have them in the garden. I have a perfect area for this along my fence. I have a narrow spot where I want to grow something beautiful, but not too wide, and I think these will be perfect. And I feel like pollinators love these flowers as well. There are lots and lots of bees on these guys. Aren't they just absolutely gorgeous? So, Cascade of Time's gardens, kind of like in the middle of Banff, surrounded by these beautiful rocky mountains. If you ever have a chance to visit Banff National Park and you happen to stay in downtown Banff area and you love flowers, this place is a must-see. Now let me take you back into my backyard. It's a little bit of a switch in the moods here, guys. We just saw a professional garden. Now we're going to take a look at my amateur garden. So most of the action in September is probably happening in this area here. These 2 garden beds, I just dug them up earlier this spring of this year. And I kind of divided the color wheel into half. So let's walk around and take a look. So there's one on the left and one on the right, and the one on the left is going to be full of hot colors, so pretty much like half of the color wheel. So we'll see lots of like bright oranges and bright yellows and reds. And I say that most of the action happens here because I grow quite a lot of dahlias and roses in this bed, and this is their time, like September, like almost fall time, and that's when they come out to play. Right here I have my bright orange coreopsis, which is one of my favorite flowers to have in the garden for its long blooming period. It started blooming in the summer and it blooms all the way into fall, sometimes into first frost. So coreopsis is definitely one of my favorites and must-haves in the garden. I place it here next to my burgundy sedum, which from the looks of it, it has gone into flower. So it's looking really nice. And next to my sedum, I have some single dahlias, yellow ones and red ones, which I love. I grow them for the first time this season, and I've come to find out that they bloom for quite a long time. These 2 came out to play much earlier than the bigger varieties in the back of this border, at the back of this bed, which we'll see here in a second. But yeah, they bloom all summer and all the way into fall. Like they're still going strong right now, so I love them. And that's my Shasta daisies that are pretty much done, but when they were in bloom, they were glorious. I keep like forgetting the name of this bush. It's Rudolph Martini Euphorbia. I think it's an evergreen shrub. And here are my dahlias. I've got yellows and oranges back here, so lots of plants that are those 2 colors. I will put up the names of the varieties of my dahlias when I edit the video. I don't have the variety names on top of my head, so again, same dahlias. And in here I have a couple of roses as well that are orange and yellow. Next to this dahlia here, I have Lady of Shalott, which is a beautiful shade of apricot. I'll let you be the judge of how beautiful Lady of Shalott is in terms of color. I really love this rose. Now to the left of my Lady of Shalott, I have a yellow rose called Golden Celebration, also from David Austin. This is quite a large rose, and when it
the flower opens to its fullest, it could be a little droopy because it's quite heavy, but the fragrance of Golden Celebration is really, really wonderful. On the right of my Lady of Shalott, I have another yellow rose, which is a bit similar to Golden Celebration in that it's also creamy yellow, but it has a more like open form, and the flowers are a bit smaller, but smells divine as well. So that's my bed of hot colors. This Gladiolus is pretty much done, but when it was in full bloom, it was gorgeous, bright orange and yellows and reds, kind of like sunset colors. I have another dahlia kind of hidden here. The pictures of this dahlia from the package, it kind of shows more yellow with red edges, but here I see a bit more orange than yellow, but it is a beautiful flower nonetheless. And down here I have blanket flowers. I forget the scientific name for blanket flowers, but I have to do some planting because they're still in containers. I bought them before I went on my trip to Banff, and I have to get them in the ground at some point. I have chrysanthemum, forming lots and lots of buds, and hopefully they'll open here soon. And that's it for my hot colors. Now let me take you to the other side of this area, to my kind of more of cool colors. So lots of pinks and blues and purples and greens. Here we have a bright pink Impatience. I've never grown Impatience before. This is my first season. So they're annuals in my area, and wow, they are such cheerful little flowers, aren't they? So bright and just so happy. I place them next to my Coleus and my hostas because this area receives a little bit less sun than the other half of this bed. And here I have a ground cover called Dead Nettles, I think. It has soft, delicate pink flowers, and these guys are supposed to be evergreen. So we'll see. So these are my shade plants in this part of the bed. And now we're gonna take a look at some sun-loving plants that I have in here. I think I have a combination of lavender, salvia, and coneflowers, and I've got some agastache in here, which is a hummingbird mint. And I also have some foliage next to this salvia, which I forget what this plant's called, and I think I lost the name tag. Oh man, I'm in trouble. But so this is supposed to be annual in my area, and I'm going to try to propagate it the way I propagate my coleus every year, because I really love the way the foliage looks. So in here I try to keep all of the pollinator attracting plants in this bed that are the colors of pinks and purples and some blues, because I love pollinators, for them to come into my garden. This is a daisy-like flower called bachelor's button, and I forget the scientific name, but it attracts bees and butterflies as well. Really beautiful, exotic-looking plants. Some lavender in there. Everything in here is very young plants. Their first year ever being planted, and I do expect them to grow and fill up the space in the future. And in here I also have a couple of dahlias that are coming out to play right now also. I have a purple dahlia that I didn't expect to be this huge, but it's bigger than my face. The gladiolus in this bed is still going strong, and I don't know why they are coming out like much later than the gladiolus in the other bed. It could be the fact that this bed doesn't get as much sun. It still gets quite a bit of sun, but at least 2 to 3 hours less than the other bed, and that could be why. I have 3 pink roses here. This is Gabriel Oak, which is putting out its second or third flush that we see here. Over here in the corner, I've got a Rose of Sharon, which is a pink variety. When it first opens, it's really pink, and as it starts to fade, it becomes more purple. It's quite interesting. I like it. This plant is gonna grow to be about 6 feet tall and maybe like 4 feet wide, so it might outgrow this space in the future. I'm not sure, but it's gonna be really easy because the only things I have around it is some gladiolus and hollyhocks, which I can remove easily. And this is the last man standing of the hollyhock flower on this stalk. And I think that's it for my cool color bed, pinks, purples, and blues. Now I'm gonna take you to the other side of my yard, which is the south facing side, gets lots and lots of sun. Oh, before we go, let me show you my Le Petit Prince, kind of hidden here in the corner of my garden. And this corner I've kind of let grow wild. And this rose is, wow, I love Le Petit Prince because it's a repeat bloomer and it blooms all season long, and the blooms are large and really pretty color, and it smells amazing as well. So that's my Le Petit Prince. And then this section is nothing. This is the section of the fence that I want to grow something along here, and it's narrow. So I think those flowers that I fell in love in Banff, that I don't know what they're called, I think they'll be perfect here. In this container I have Carding Mill, which is another apricot rose, really beautiful. And this is Carding Mill's second flush of the season. This rose is kind of being invaded by a random morning glory that I don't know where they came from. I think I may have planted a morning glory here like 3 years ago. But morning glory is supposed to be annual in my area, so I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's a lucky coincidence. It's kind of a peaceful invasion that happens like later on in the season. So I'm just gonna let it slide and just let them grow here in peace. Plus, I think they look kind of pretty growing around my rose. It's September now, so it only has maybe like 2 more months to grow. So we'll see. So that's Carding Mill. Next to Carding Mill is another container of rose, but it's a yellow rose, and that one is Roald Dao. But before we get to Roald Dao, we have some Canna Lilies that are growing along the fence here, and it has a zinnia growing alongside it. And I don't remember planting zinnia here, so another lucky coincidence, I guess. Really beautiful flowers. And then we're going to take a look at Roald Dao, which is in a container just like Carding Mill. And Roald Dao had put out its second flush, and this is towards the end already. Roald Dao is a nice medium-sized yellow rose, which is also very healthy. This rose has never given me trouble, so I really love it. And speaking of peaceful invasion, I want to show you this plant right here. This is my heavenly bamboo, and right through it there's a red poppy that kind of just grows from nowhere. This is a volunteer plant, and I think it looks really lovely together. If you didn't know better, you might even think that this is the same plant with just one plant with red flowers. So anyway, that's really nice. And I have more morning glories growing in this area. I really don't know where they come from, and I made sure that they're not bindweeds. They're morning glories because they have purple flowers. Bindweeds will have white flowers, and that is the type of plant that you don't want. You want to get rid right away. Here I have a climber, a rose climber, and this is Bathsheba. And Bathsheba is an apricot or almost like yellow rose, but it's got like white, almost white outer petals, which makes the middle color really pops. So that Bathsheba, I think this is also its second or maybe even third flush. What I'm really loving right now in my garden are these two very tall like beanstalks right here. This is sunflower, and it's a variety called skyscraper, and it really suits the name because look at how tall this is. My fence is 6 feet tall, and this thing can probably measure easily up to 9 or 10 feet, and the flower heads are very large. I'm very sure it's bigger than my palm or my face, but I haven't really climbed up there to measure, but it looks really prominent from down here. I actually grew a bunch of seedlings but I grew them early in the springtime and I lost them all. And these are the only two that were left. Down here I have a rose, also a David Austin rose, and this is Bosco Bell. And Bosco Bell is a very nice pink rose with an orange undertone. I really love this rose as well. Moving on to another rose, which is also a David Austin. This rose is Emily Bronte, and it's got such a romantic color to it. It's kind of like very soft, pale pink with whiter edges around the flower. And in the very center, you could see a hue of yellow and orange. It's just so beautiful. And then as we move on from here, we're going to see less and less blooms and more foliage because this is already September. Things are slowing down in my garden significantly. I'm now relying on trees and leaves to, make things, keep things interesting. Here's my little gem magnolia, which is already done with the flowers. But my Susan magnolia, which is this one here, it's given out sporadic blooms. I see 4, 5, 6 flowers that are about to open. So with this specific tree, Susan magnolia, it kind of blooms twice a year. The first big flush will be in the spring, like early spring, or early to mid spring, and then again, kind of like as we move into fall. And here I have some more coreopsis and some annual dahlia in the container. This is Dahlia vampire, which is the name of the variety. It's a bright red dahlia, which is very nice. And then we move on. More foliage because my lilies are all done. That's my white dahlias. That's not giving as many flowers as last year, but my coleus is thriving right now. This is like its time, and it's been thriving since August. We had a very hot August. Temperatures went up to the high 90s, and while other plants may not like it as much, my coleus is just like doing wonderfully. It really took off in heat. So in here I have a Redhead Coleus and this lime green Coleus. I forget the name. But yeah, these two colors, I think they really complement each other quite well. I have more pink annual dahlias here in these containers together with some, what are those flowers again? Geraniums, annual geraniums. I sometimes forget the names of the flowers. Maybe I just have like too many of them in my garden. And I'm so new. I've only been doing this for, I think this is my 4th growing season. So all these flowers are new to me. I have here hidden another dahlia, and this particular one is called Black Touch. And it's this like burgundy, kind of dark red colored dahlia. Really nice as well. Alrighty, and I think that's bringing us almost to the end of this tour. I have 2 Dusty Millers in this bed that has died on me. Dusty Millers, I think of them as winter plants because they take cool and cold weather much better than they take hot weather. So in the summer, my Dusty Millers really don't look great, and they look dead. But I read on some website, and it says that it'll come back in the winter, so I guess we'll see. And I have some more containers of coleus back there. Coleus is such a good plant to grow in containers, and I always keep them in containers because I propagate them quite a bit in the winter. I have not bought new coleus in like 2-3 years now. I only bought them the first time, and the following seasons I have always propagated them. Back here, my Japanese dappled willows, which a lot of people say that they don't look as great in the summer because of the brown tips, and you can see them here a little bit. But to me, it doesn't really ruin the aesthetics of this plant. They still look good to me, and they still look interesting. One last rose that I would like to show you is way back there, and I particularly love this rose because it's such a vigorous bloomer. It's been blooming non-stop for me this entire season, keeping this area looking interesting. And I'm talking about Princess Alexandra of Kent. This beautiful pink rose right here. I have 3 roses here in containers. Princess Alexandra of Kent on the right. In the middle, I have Olivia Rose Austen, which gave out a really beautiful first flush and sporadic second flush, but that's pretty much it. Princess Alexandra of Kent, on the other hand, is like this all season long. It does take a break in between each flush, like here and there, but the break is short. And like, most likely you'll get blooms like this all season. And I also have another pink rose on the left, the very left container, and in there I have Princess Anne, but Princess Anne is a first-year rose, so it's still small. Princess Alexandra, this is her second year in this home, and it looks to me like she's fully settled in. I don't think I can end our little tour without me talking about my phantom hydrangea or Hydrangea paniculata. I've got some wallflowers growing underneath it. The phantom hydrangea that I have is in a tree form, which is this lovely little tree right here. These florets that were white all summer have now turned into this lovely shade of pink as we move closer into fall. So if you're looking for a plant that gives out a beautiful fall color display, I want you to look into phantom hydrangea. This is its 3rd growing season in my house now, and it's grown a lot wider than when it came. And from this big magnificent tree, I was able to get this little shrub from it. So this little guy here was a sucker or a shoot that shot out from the trunk, and I took a few of them and I stuck them in soil, and this was the only one that took root for me. I think I'm going to keep this one in a shrub form because I don't think I have the skill set to kind of trim it into a tree form like its mother plant. But I think it's really lovely, and I'm going to try to find a sunny spot in my garden to put this later on. So I think that wraps up our little garden tour today, you guys. One last rose. I keep saying one last rose, but this is going to be the last rose for real. This white rose is Shirley's Bouquet, and I have it in this container. This is its 2nd growing season. It's a white rose. Sometimes you see a hue of pink in the center. It's reliable repeat bloomers that I love to have in my garden, and it's pretty healthy as well. So Shirley's Bouquet. And that's it. That really wraps up our little garden tour in September of 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me this afternoon, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the Cascade of Times gardens in Banff. I wish everybody a wonderful day and happy gardening, everyone. I'll see you next time in my next video. Bye.